All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so very much for waking up and joining us today. We appreciate you having a somewhat early night last night, and if not, then getting up in spite of that anyways to join us. My name is John Levesque. I'm joined by my coworker here, Kent Weir, and this is Digitally Transform Your Business Using Microsoft Flow. So welcome, and thanks for joining us. So before we start, I'm going to ask for a little bit of interaction and participation. This is a little survey, a few questions. Going to ask what you guys think about digital transformation, since that term is so overloaded these days. We'd love to get an idea of what you guys actually think it means. Also, as a bonus, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you participate, you're going to want to participate, because I have a flow built around this survey. You'll be receiving an email with a bunch of bonus content that you're not going to want to miss. And if you don't do the survey, no one here is going to forward it to you. Okay. So go ahead, take a second, guys, fill that out, and we're going to let you look at that and give those answers real quick. While you are doing that, Kent is going to talk to us a little bit about what is digital transformation.
So yes, as John mentioned, digital transformation is a heavily overloaded term. And so here's an example of what digital transformation is, or perhaps not. As you can see, there's a lot of technical jargon in this specific quote. And don't worry, there's a slide where Bill redeems himself. But the important part here is that digital transformation isn't about technology. It's actually about transforming businesses and providing businesses with some sort of an outcome that may use digital tools. And so this is what we want to talk about today. We want to walk you through how you can set up a digital transformation program within your organization using something called bottom-up innovation. And then on top of that, we're going to give you some examples of how you can actually build some intelligent automation processes that do help your organization transform. And if you follow us on Twitter, last night we talked a little bit about a tool called Power Query and Power Query integration. So we're also going to demo that at the end of this session as well as part of one of our use cases, and you'll want to stick around for that. So digital transformation, the coupling of granular real-time data, smartphones, connected devices, smart appliances, wearables, and so on and so forth.
What a mouthful.
Yes, this is not digital transformation. As I mentioned, Bill does redeem himself, and it gets a little bit better. A digital transformation is an application of digital capabilities to processes, products, and assets to improve efficiencies, enhance customer value, manage risk, and uncover new monetization opportunities. So that's a little bit closer. But there's one thing that's missing. What could it be, John?
You know, I think it's the people.
It is, you're right. Without people, there won't be transformation inside an organization.
You know, people are going to have the biggest impact on success in digital transformation initiatives. And you have to overcome some challenges to get them there, right? Like suspending disbelief, overcoming someone else's problem, right? We all have that mentality of, that's not my issue, that's someone else's, they're going to deal with it. Also, the ability to absorb and embrace change, right? You have to have leadership bought in, you have to have initiatives going, you have to have support so that you can absorb and embrace these things, because they take a little bit of time often to go, right? But it's interesting because the market has changed, right? Whereas in years past, we would think of these investments in these initiatives as long-term. And now, everyone thinks, man, I need some return in months, right? Not years. And so, you know, that's speaking to ability to absorb and embrace again. And now, opportunities. Kent, what are some of the opportunities around?
So I think one is really around like driving a data-driven culture. And certainly we see this at Microsoft recently, like in the last few years. We are definitely pushed to include data in all of our decisions. I know there's another PM on another team who's made a comment or a quote famous around, since when do we make better decisions without data? And I think that is something that is actually showing up in businesses today, and we're going to show you some examples of how you can include more data-driven decision-making in your use cases by enabling or including flow.
Also, democratizing ideation. So today we're going to talk about bottom-up innovation. And so that's not a very well-known term. I would like to say that actually Kent is the originator
No,
of
no,
that
I'm
term.
not.
No? Okay, okay. Well, and so democratizing ideation, it means that we should allow everyone, we should enable everyone to be solving the problems, right? It shouldn't just be IT's job to solve the problems for the business. We should be enabling the business user to have tools and the ability and the empowerment to go and solve these things on their own. And so then again, bottom-up innovation. And so that is the frontline worker taking on that responsibility to figure out what are their problems in their line of work and how can they be the ones to solve them. Having IT and C-level as supports instead of driving the change downward, it's going upward.
So yeah, the question is like, where does bottom-up innovation occur? And the hint is that it doesn't include or doesn't happen in the C-suite. Because the reality is, if it did, there wouldn't be this problem. There wouldn't be this push for driving transformation opportunities in businesses using technology. And as John mentioned, it does occur closer to where the problem exists. The people that are closer to the problem have a better idea of how to solve them. But the problem is in the past, these people haven't been embraced or empowered to sort of be the thinkers and actually come up with the solutions to the ideas. It's typically driven top-down through large bureaucratic processes, and I think what we want to talk about today is how we can unlock those opportunities by using the Power Platform and more specifically, Microsoft Flow.
And so how can you drive engagement in your organization around digital transformation initiatives and bottom-up innovation? And this is where we introduce the Power Platform. And specifically today, we're going to be talking about that right-hand side with Microsoft Flow. But the Microsoft Power Platform is, I'm sure as you guys have all been hearing about here, Power Apps, Power BI, and Flow, which is built on top of Azure. It is in support of Dynamics Office and also all of the Dynamics standalone apps. It's a new, powerful suite of tools for you to be able to build and extend apps outside of the box, outside of the standalone offerings.
And something that we often talk about with the Power Platform, it is a democratized platform. It is a Power Platform for power users. And what this really does is it aligns well with this notion of bottom-up innovation. Once again, going back to having people that are closer to the problem solving the problem, that's actually what we're actually doing by embracing this Power Platform, is giving these tools into a broader set of users that can actually go out and solve these problems for their business.
Okay, and so some of the tasks that we've kind of identified around driving engagement is, first of all, you have to create some sort of foundational knowledge. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, about an actual use case where we drove bottom-up innovation in an organization. And so we'll kind of touch deeper on each of these. But first, you want to create some foundational knowledge. Everyone has to have a basic understanding of what's going on and what the tools are, what's available to them. Secondly, you have to define clear success criteria and parameters. What does it mean to win? What is a successful initiative? What is not? Are we looking to save hours? Are we looking to cut costs? Are we looking to generate revenue? You have to define those things so that people can attack the problems properly. You have to also establish ownership. If you want people to drive these initiatives through, give them clear ownership. But also, you have to have milestones, measurements, and successes along with that, right? Those people who are driving these initiatives forward, they should also be recognized and rewarded for taking on such work and trying to drive and change the business. One of the very important parts of this, though, is that leadership is there to unblock, not direct. In bottom-up innovation, the C-suite is there to listen. The frontline workers are there to be solving the problems, and the C-level is there to make sure that that happens. And last, but certainly not least, you have to accept some failure. Some things aren't going to work. Some owners are not going to drive them through to success. You have to be willing to have a reasonable failure rate as well.
So now, John, did you make this all up? Did you sit down with marketing and say, hey, let's build this crafty plan?
I did not.
No, in fact, you didn't. And I know you didn't.
You know I didn't.
We actually worked with a customer on this. They were, doing their own transformation, so full credit to them. And we were brought in to help support them in terms of getting some more ideas or ideation sessions going to fill their pipeline with new opportunities for their business. So TransAlta is a public company. They're multinational. They run or operate in Canada, the United States, and Australia. And so they do power generation and energy trading. And so they were well upon this journey of business transformation that leveraged bottom-up innovation. And so what we had the opportunity to do is myself and John and a couple of the Power Apps folks had a chance to visit them in April. And we spent an afternoon with them and actually went through a workshop. And this was a cross-functional workshop. This was not IT, just with IT. And I do come from an IT background, so this isn't about alienating them. I think it's more about bringing everyone to the table with the common purpose of driving an outcome for the business. So as part of this working group, we had people from energy trading, human resources, operations, supply chain management, the transformation office, and IT were in attendance. And what we did is back to that point around creating that foundational knowledge, we spent 45 minutes with them walking them through Power Apps. What is the tool? What is it capable of? The art of the possible. And then I think it was also really important for this broader audience to understand that this wasn't a sales pitch. They were already using Power Apps. They have some interesting stories to tell. You might have seen their logo in some of the Power App slides in terms of customers. So we wanted them to highlight to their own business that these are some of the apps that IT had built and some of the results of that.
The great part about that was that you actually saw the room light up and begin to understand. Like these things they had been interacting with, they didn't know it was a Power App. They didn't understand that it was something they could utilize. They just thought it was something distributed that they were using. When they began to understand that these things that they were using were part of this platform and that they too could use it, it was amazing to see some of the frontline workers begin to just get ideas and get excited.
Absolutely. So the next thing we did is we did the same thing with Flow. And we spent 45 minutes talking about Flow, showing the art of the possible, showing a lot of innovative use cases using cognitive services, some of the things we're going to see today. And then we also handed the podium over to them and gave them the opportunity to present how they've been using Flow within their own business. And I think then, at the end of these sort of knowledge transfer sessions, it got super interesting. We broke out into cross-functional groups. This was something the Transformation Office took care of, and ensured that there was a good mix of IT and operations and trading folks in order to really come up with these ideas. Because I think what we identified, or what was very obvious, was that the IT folks had a lot of good ideas in terms of how to solve the problem, but they weren't necessarily aware of all of the challenges that the business was undergoing. So it really became this collaborative process of like, hey, is this possible? Could we do this? And be like, yeah, sure, that sounds reasonable. That sounds like a good idea. Let's mark it down. Now back to the previous point around accountability, walking out of that room, there was someone that was on point for all of the ideas that were generated as part of that group. They then needed to put it into the funnel, into the transformation funnel, where they would have to go ahead and create a small business case. The small business case is not something that takes weeks or months. This takes days. And generally what they're talking about is, what is the return? What is the return to the company by making this investment? What are the timelines? There were some clear parameters around the duration. There wasn't 5-year payback. They were interested in less than 2-year payback. Sort of another key part of the Power Platform is you can address those time to value conversations. So beyond that, what were the results? What was the outcome?
We had 60 plus ideas that were identified. So it was great. We had HR people and IT people and operations and C-level leadership in the same room. And it was amazing to see the frontline workers rattling off all these ideas and the C-level people just sitting there stunned, having no idea that these workers were encountering half of these problems. So they identified 60 ideas. 15 of them got added to the transformation initiatives with owners. And within 2 months, they actually landed one. They're in the process of landing several more. And so they took their whole, what is SCM? What was the process they moved to Flow?
Supply chain management contract process.
There it was. And so they moved that fully over to Flow as the workflow engine.
And there was another example. I had the opportunity to share the stage with the TransAlta folks at the Power user group last week in Calgary. And they talked about another app that they built, a Power app that they built as part of this transformation initiative, and it had to do with de-icing of wind turbines. And in the past, what's happened is they operate in Eastern Canada, you get some ice on wind turbine blades, you have to stop them. It's both a safety concern and a maintenance concern, which is a very expensive problem if you try to run these things too far. So naturally, with slower access to data, they would be more conservative in terms of how far they would run these turbines. Well, using the Power Platform, they built an app where they could actually run the turbines further. And that allowed them to actually generate additional revenue. And revenue in excess of multiple millions of dollars within a few months.
Not insignificant. I'm glad you could share this one this time.
Yes, they spoke about it publicly. So
Perfect.
and then in addition to that, they said that it cost them about $30K to actually build this app over the course of a month and a half. So if you want to talk about like ROI, I challenge you to come up with another platform that can deliver on better returns than that, and be able to do that with just a small team. This was not a huge development project with like 10, 15 people on it. It was really someone from IT working with someone closely in the business and being able to pull all of these different data sources, both real time from the SCADA network, from the Weather Canada,
Historic weather data,
pricing data, and actually give them a tool that would do all of this trending and analysis and give them real-time alerts. So it was a really interesting and real story that really sort of highlights the opportunities when people embrace this type of technology.
All right, and so now let's talk a little bit about Microsoft Flow. So before we begin, who here would say they are an expert in Microsoft Flow? Let's get you guys out of the way. An expert. Ooh, one. Ahmad. He's a Flow MVP. He better raise his hand. Okay, I've used Flow and I'm somewhat familiar. Okay, I've never touched it at all. Oh, good. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm so happy you guys especially are here. No offense to the rest of you guys, but the newbies, I love the newbies. Okay, so what is Microsoft Flow? It's a tool that allows you to work less and do more. That's a marketing line that we threw in there for you. But what does it do? It helps people work smarter by automating processes across apps and data. Flow works great in the platform. It connects everything. It is the glue. And so we have a couple different kinds of flows. We're only going to talk about one today. If you come to the flow session tomorrow at 12:15 for me and David Blythe, we're going to talk about business process flows there if you want to hear about that. Today we're going to focus on automated flows. An automated flow is simple. It has a trigger and a series of actions. It can have conditional logic. It can branch off and do parallel things. But ideally, it's a trigger and a series of actions. So what are the characteristics? Like I said, starts with an event or trigger, performs any number of actions. Wow, I just said this whole slide. I didn't even know it was coming. Can have conditional logic, and it can actually call other workflows. So we have this idea of nested flows, where a flow can call a flow, and you'll actually see a little bit of that today. Integration and connectivity. It's one of our biggest strengths. So Microsoft has 3 clouds. They are Office, Dynamics, and Azure. And lucky for us, we are the beautiful glue that sits between them all. We have connections to over 230 products. We have all of the first-party Microsoft stack that you would expect, as well as many of your favorite third-party products there as well. I would challenge to say that each of you could look at this list and probably find 5 things that you use right now. Also, if you have on-premise data, we have a gateway that will allow you to connect to certain data sources on-premise. And then if you have a service with a RESTful API, you can actually build a custom connector to connect your service into Flow so that your customers can begin to use the value of Flow and all of the other connectors as well. Now, templates. So for you newbies, this is an excellent place to get started. Templates are not only a great way to just jump in and like have a flow kick off and start running for you and doing something, but also if you open them and click the edit button, you get to see how a flow is built. So when you read the template that says, oh, copy Dynamics accounts to common data service customer organizations, you can then see, oh, okay, I'm going to edit that. Here's my trigger, which is when a customer is added. And oh, I see, the next action takes this and says move to common data service. And so it's a great way to learn and see how things are built, to understand the logic of flow and workflow. All right, and now I'm going to do a little bit of a click-through, especially since we have so many new faces here. And we're on number 6. All right. Wrong one. No. There you go. Perfect. Thanks, Kent. All right. So I'm going to take you through the site a little bit so I can give you an idea of what everything is, so that when you land on the page, you're not too confused, right? So first things first, I want to teach you guys how to get support and understand Flow. So the first thing to know is the Learn tab. The Learn tab obviously, is where we're going to get started learning. And so I would suggest the first thing you do is go to guided learning. There's 14 videos there that walk you through the basics of how to build flows. It teaches you what is a flow. It teaches you various different types of flows and approvals and things. It's a great introduction. Now, from there, if you really want to start jumping in, you can go over to our documentation. And we've really tried to make this simple. If you're a beginner, there's a tab for a beginner. If you're intermediate, I don't like how it says I'm an intermediate. That's terrible grammar. But if you're intermediate at Flow, there's a tab for you, an expert, an admin, so on and so forth. A very good place to get started. Now, if you want to start asking questions and connecting with experts and getting beyond the simple, I would recommend jumping into our community. So there are over 100,000 monthly active users in our community. Our MVPs have a heavy presence there. We actually have a support staff that helps make sure that questions get answered. And so it is a great place for you guys to jump in, ask questions, start learning, and connecting with other people that are building flows. I cannot recommend enough how important it is to be a part of this community. It is such an added value to have the support and the resources that go along with this. It really, really, really will add to your overall journey, I promise. So now let's go back to the Flow site, and I want to point out a couple of things on the homepage here. We have featured template collections in the center here, and so they're based on job role. And so if you are a software developer, if you're in marketing, if you're a teacher, if you're in HR, there are collections for you, and we are continuously trying to add them and also add to them. Now I'm going to take you into the Flow editor here is what we call it, and I'm about to spoil the surprise. This looks different than what you're going to see. This is preview. You guys can sign up for the preview tenant right now, and you'll see this new Flow experience. The rest of you in a few weeks will inherit this experience. So what we see here is we have a tab for my flows. These are the flows that I create, that I run for myself, that I have not yet shared with anyone. Now, if it's a very, very important flow, let's just get this out of the way. If it is a production flow that is running something important, please never be the only owner. For those of you guys that are new in software development, if you make code, if you make things in production, you're never the only owner of those things you create. And so with flows, it should always be the same. You don't want to be the only owner, because then when you leave, your credentials die, everyone's in a panic. How do we fix this flow? So that's where we see team flows. And so these are the flows that I create, and then I share with others. And now it's a team flow. When I leave, Kent could then go ahead and put his credentials in and just keep that flow running. Also, separate to that, said we're not going to talk too much about it here. Going to show you this, business process flows. You need a P2 plan to use BPFs. And like I said, if you want to hear more about that, come tomorrow. And now I also want to touch on the approvals center. So in Flow, we have a first-class approvals experience. I like to call them lazy approvals because they're everywhere. So when I send an approval out, it goes to my email. It goes to my mobile device if I have the Flow mobile app. It also goes here into the approvals center. And so if I had any pending approvals, you'd actually see cards show up here with all the requesters' information, asking me if I approve or not. Let's see. So in this environment, we haven't sent any approvals yet. But that is a perfect place. Now, the Flow mobile app, I touched on that for just a second. Guys, that's an awesome experience. It empowers flow buttons. And buttons are manual input flows. You just press the button, and then something happens. That's the trigger. Press the button. And so what I actually did was I created a button that would collect site requests, so like team site requests. If someone requested it, I had a button that would press, and it would gather up all those weeks' requests and send me a report, right? Also, another button example that's fantastic. It's the simplest one I've ever heard of, but I love it. We have a customer, and they have a warehouse. And every day at the warehouse, the truck is supposed to arrive at 11. But sometimes it arrives at 10:30, and sometimes it arrives at noon. And oftentimes, there's a lot of guys standing around for a lot of time waiting for a truck that didn't show up. And so what they did was they put a flow button by the door that sends a text message to the whole team when the truck arrives. So the first guy to see the truck hits the button, everybody gets a text, they show up. Saved them thousands of dollars for guys just not standing around waiting for a truck. And it's literally a two-step flow. Push the button, send text. They created it in 30 seconds. With that said, I'm actually going to go ahead here into Flow, and I'm going to just show you real quick how to construct a simple two-step flow. And so I click New and Create from Blank, and I am dropped here into the Flow editor. Now this is where I am asked to select my trigger. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Flow button for mobile. And so then I'm going to add an input and a text field, and I'm going to say message. If I could type message. Now in the next step, I am going to add the info BIP service. And I'm going to say send a text message. And so then actually what I'm going to do here is in my next step I'm going to add another input, and I'm going to put phone number. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my action, which is the send a text message from info BIP. And what you can see happen is there's this drawer that kind of pops out from the side. We call this dynamic content. Dynamic content is all of the information that's fed to you from the previous step. In Flow, as you build, all the information from the top steps becomes available in the subsequent steps. And so you can see here, manually trigger a flow, that's my trigger, and these are all the data points that are now available to me from that button press. We give you a lot of things, the date it was pressed, the address of where you are, latitude, longitude, the country, the city. Now you can see I put in two custom inputs, message and phone number, and those are available to me. And so I go ahead and I click right here into recipient's phone number, and I just click that phone number box. Now whatever I put into the first step is just going to get handed into the second step, and then I'm going to go ahead and say, what do I want the message to be? And I enter that there, and that literally is how you make a flow that can send someone a text message. And so it took me all of 2 seconds. I passed my values through. I hit the button. It's going to open up and show me two boxes. You know what? Let's run it real quick. Let's test the flames. Oh, you got to do it, Kent. Never. All right, we're going to skip that for now and get into some better demos, actually. So here's one thing I want to do with you real quick. I want to refresh this. And so here is our digital transformation survey that you guys took earlier. And so when we said, how equipped are your customers for change, by far, everybody said about a 3. Not bad. Not bad. That's way better than a 1. Those of you who said 1 in there, I'm sorry. That's rough. Count of what is holding them back mostly. So it's a traditional and stuck mindset. People are stuck in the past. And then what does digital transformation mean to you? It looks like a fairly even split between seamless customer experience across devices and channels and engaging customers via smart connected services. It's interesting. So why I do this is a couple different reasons. One, I'm going to show you the flow behind the scenes and how this is made. But two, it just goes to show how easy it is to do a little bit of digital transformation, right? I now have great insight to understand how a crowd of 600 people thinks of digital transformation. And now when I want to go back home and create my next marketing campaign to promote this material, I now know what to target. So thank you guys for that. And also, for those of you that didn't participate in the survey, those of you that did, we're talking about all this bottom-up innovation stuff today and what we did at TransAlta. Those of you that did the survey received an email with a link to that material so you can actually lead the bottom-up innovation sessions as well with your customers and your organizations. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and show you how that flow is built, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kent to show you guys the really cool stuff. All right, so what I did was I first went and I built a form. That's the easy part. I'm not going to walk you guys through how to build a form. But then what I did was I went to Flow, and my trigger was when a new response is submitted. And so I took that trigger and I said connect it to my form over here. Then I went and I added my first action, which is get response details, also from Microsoft Forms. So the first one collects all of the surveys, lets me know there's a new survey. The second one goes in and pulls all of the actual responses. Next, I created a streaming data set in Power BI because Flow is amazing and can create anything, turn anything into a streaming data set. So if you guys are Power BI fans, you're gonna love Flow. And so I created a streaming data set, I wire everything right in, and then I send you this nicely formatted email. I grab your email address from the form, I grab your name from the form, I format it with some nice links. You get tons of useful information and a thank you and a reminder to evaluate the session. Literally, guys, I put this together last night in my hotel room in an hour. The form, the flow, the Power BI dashboard, everything. And actually, it wasn't my room, it was a mod's room. All right, Kent, over to you, man.
So I think what's also interesting is we talked about like developing a data-driven culture, and that's just a very quick example of how you can actually go ahead and do that, just by simply collecting some information from customers, from your end users, and how you can actually then drive, some sort of insight. So I think that's pretty cool, and it's something that you can all go ahead and do today without a whole lot of friction. So next we're going to talk a little bit more about some other technologies and some other examples. Now, who here, by show of hands, has heard of something called robotic process automation, RPA? And so RPA is a type of software that mimics the activity of a human being in carrying out a task within a process. It can do repetitive stuff more quickly, accurately, and tirelessly than humans, freeing them up to do other tasks requiring human strengths. Now, we're not positioning Microsoft Flow as a complete RPA solution. That's not why we're here today. But there's many different scenarios that actually can be addressed by using Microsoft Flow. And probably more interestingly is that you can do a lot of this without any additional costs, beyond what you already have entitled to through Office 365. So we wanted to show some use cases around this. And I think it's also important to understand that there's a new sort of class of automation that's emerging called intelligent automation. KPMG recently did a study that says that this market is currently at $12 billion, and they expect it to become a $232 billion industry in 5 years, in 2022, or 2023 rather. And so what this means is that this is not going away, this notion of automating, but then also being able to automate more intelligently by taking advantage of cognitive services, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And certainly that's the theme of what we're going to be talking about here shortly. And I think what's really interesting is that these are scenarios that would have been cost prohibitive to develop just 2-3 years ago. You would need a lot of developers with like a strong understanding of a lot of these technologies like machine learning and artificial intelligence. And Microsoft has really democratized a lot of this through using Flow, but also through using the Azure Cognitive Suite. So what are some common use cases around RPA or intelligent automation? So certainly customer service, dealing with status requests, requests for information support. This is going to be a focus of some of the demos that I'm going to show you here shortly. Certainly finance, accounts payables, where you need to be able to inject or ingest an invoice and be able to pull it apart and actually feed an ERP system in order to provide some processing. Historically, that would be achieved through swivel chair integration, where you're in one screen typing away, and then you copy it, and then you swivel around, and then you paste it into the other system.
That's a great term, swivel chair automation.
I didn't create that one either.
That's awesome.
So procurement, requisition approvals, we've talked about that, where we can use Microsoft Flow's first-party approval capabilities, maintenance, human resources, timesheets, onboarding, benefits. We've seen many customers use technology for onboarding, whether it's provisioning new Azure AD accounts, adding users to groups, provisioning teams, provisioning sites. And then certainly information technology. The IT department can also leverage this technology for dealing with password resets, diagnose and fix technical issues. We have one customer that's been able to automate the creation of AAD accounts and sync them with Dynamics 365 accounts. Something that saves them, half an hour every single day, but it reduces the mundane, repetitive manual work and actually allows them to automate it. So the first scenario we want to talk about is automating customer service. And actually, we'll show the video. We'll show the video. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, go ahead, show the video. There's got to be a better way than this. Got it.
You okay, man?
I'm all right.
Okay, good.
You got a second?
Sure.
Okay. So I got a customer, and they're wondering if we can build a solution. They're getting inundated with emails, and so what they would like to do is set up like a database of questions and answers where they could have commonly asked things. And then let's say that an email came in and they already answered that question before. What if an email automatically went out to that person with that answer that they already had? Do you think that something like that is possible?
So, yes. So recently there's a service called Q&A Maker that went GA.
Okay.
So it's part of the Azure Cognitive Suite. You know, we use that suite for hot dog, not hot dog.
Yes.
So we could likely leverage that.
Okay.
And catalog all of these questions related answers, and then it will actually understand what the question is, line up the answer, and email the answer
Okay,
back
I'm not
out.
sure if I understand all that, but let me. So a question will get asked, something will happen, an answer will automatically go out.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Okay.
Okay. Hey Ken.
Again?
Well, I talked to that customer,
Oh,
and
okay.
they were saying that they need this solution like this week.
This week?
Yeah, so I was wondering, do you think you could help me with this one?
I guess. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah, no
perfect.
problem.
All right, and so what we have there is quite a regular occurrence. Kent, I oftentimes bust into Kent's office with these random ideas like, Kent, can you build this? And it's amazing because every time he's like, yeah, I can build that. And so you're going to actually get to see this. I literally tricked Kent into automating my email inbox. In the process, though, he created quite an amazing solution. So, Kent, man, show these guys how you made this.
How do you flip?
Oh, let me put you back, number 6.
Yeah, now we share an office, so he doesn't have to even bust in.
That's right. That's right. They put Kent and I in the same office now. I think because we were across the hall and I kept yelling at him, so they're just like, we're going to put him with Kent. So now he can't escape me at all.
So this flow is a little bit more advanced, and not all of them are this advanced, but I think it was an opportunity to sort of demonstrate a capability we haven't talked a lot about before, and that's this ability to have a flow call another flow. And so what we have here is this Q&A worker flow that sits in the middle, and what it does is it exposes an endpoint that can be called from other flows. So as you can see, there's a few different icons up here where we've got email, which John mentioned. But it's kind of like, why would we restrict this just to email? What if we included Twitter as another input channel? And then what if we include the @bot? That's a chatbot connector framework that's a part of our ecosystem as well. So it's like, why don't we just sort of inject all of these different entry points, and then what we'll do is we'll have this worker flow that'll go ahead and process these requests, call out to Q&A Maker, and see if there is an answer for that specific question. Now, the notion is that sounds really scary. Like, oh, we don't want to automatically email people. That's going to send wrong information.
No, I do. I want to have all my emails automatically answered.
Yes, but you want to be able to do that in a reliable fashion, right?
That's true.
So
That's true.
We wanted to build some more intelligence into this process. So what this means is that you can have it when it's really confident, say over 90% confident that it's found the right answer, to go ahead and automatically send those emails out. But what if there's a gray area? What if it's like 60% confident? Don't you want to have the ability to actually sort of review that before the email gets sent out and perhaps creates an embarrassing situation?
That's my least favorite thing, is being embarrassed.
So what this allows you to do is to use approvals to get in the way to say, hey, this is the proposed response that's coming out of our knowledge base. Do you want to go ahead and send this out? And Morgan can go ahead and say, yes, approve. That sounds good. Go ahead and send it out. Now, in the case where there's clearly not a good answer, then you can actually reject it and actually take the inputs and feed the machine. So that's what's represented in this update flow in the upper hand right-hand corner.
The update flow is when you reject, you actually put a comment in of the answer you want to send, and that actually sends that answer through.
It sends the answer back to the requester, but it also updates Q&A Maker and actually republishes the knowledge base so that the next time that question is asked,
I don't have to answer it.
Exactly. So
yes.
This is sort of an opportunity to build a really intelligent solution with all of these components without writing any code.
And guys, he literally built this in like one day. I asked him about it in the morning, and by the afternoon, he had a demo ready for me. He's like this? Like, just like that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and send off a question. And, we'll keep it fairly simple, but like I said, when there's situations where there are more complex, you have the opportunity to inject and update. So the question we're going to ask is, what is the pricing model for Microsoft Flow? I'm going to send this email to my work account, and I'm going to include the subject of Flow question, because when I have the email processor, it's going to be looking for that specific subject. So we're going to go ahead and click Send. So that's going to go off and be working in the background. But while it's doing that, what I do want to show you is Q&A Maker. So this is Q&A Maker. You can access it at qandamaker.ai. It is an Azure service. There is a cost for it, but it is a consumption-based service.
It's really
which
cheap.
Means, yeah, it's like a cup of coffee a day generally. And what it allows you to do is to create these knowledge bases. In this case, it is going to be intelligent email routing. And what we can do is we can go ahead and provide questions. And we'll say, for example, can you restore a deleted flow? And the answer is, yes, you can, with a support ticket. Now, that's not the only way that you can ask that question. That question could be asked many different ways. So what you actually do here is you go ahead and add, and you can add additional ways that you would ask that question. And what happens is it actually uses natural language understanding based upon the Lewis technology, another Microsoft technology, to try to understand your intent. And then what it'll do is match your intent with this specific answer. So that's the core of the service. Let's go see how we're doing right now. Okay, so cool, it is running. And so what's happened is we've now picked up the email from my inbox, and it'll match that subject criteria of flow question. It's then going to convert the HTML email. Naturally, a lot of emails these days are in HTML format. Q&A Maker could care less about CSS and markup and HTML and all that goop. So we're just going to extract the text out of it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call a webhook. And what this is doing is it's actually calling that worker flow, that flow in the center I talked about, and basically registering with it, saying, hey, when you get the answer that you need, call me back. And what this allows us to do is avoid some timeouts that are just inherent in using HTTP. So if we flip over to that worker flow, we should see that we have a flow that's in flight. And we do. And so what's happening is it's actually gone out, called the Q&A Maker service, and actually got a response back. And we can take a quick look at this.
So we talked a little bit about flows, calling flows. That's what you're seeing here. The first email flow calling into what we're calling the Q&A worker flow.
And so here we have the question that was asked, do you have any pricing information? And then what we'll see is that it'll give a response back. So the response is actually, hello there, the flow pricing page can be found here. Go ahead and click this link, and actually there's a link to a podcast as well. But in this case, what we want to do is we want to be able to approve that. So in this case, what John would receive is a notification to go ahead and approve this specific request. And so here we can see, and there's some HTML markup here to make it look a little bit prettier, we can see the proposed answer. And if we're happy with that proposed answer, we can just go ahead and click approve. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then what will happen is that our flow will complete running. We can see now it's completed, and it'll then return that information back to the calling flow. And we can now see that this has been completed as well. So we've gone ahead and sent an email back out to the originator, which was the admin at PowerTier, the account I was using, and saying, hello there, this is where you can find the flow pricing information. So if we head back over to our email and hit our inbox, we can see that the email has arrived, and we can see the response and what the original question was as well. So obviously you can go ahead and tailor this, customize it as you see fit, and go ahead and update this.
I see a lot of you guys taking pictures of these flows. If you want to see how this is built, stay at the end. I can share the YouTube channel link with you guys. Kent and I make videos regularly where you can see us doing this stuff all the time.
And now, we don't have time to run through the other scenarios. I want to get to the other demos, but I will just show you the logic in terms of how you would deal with an unknown question. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is once we call the Q&A maker service, we can go ahead and evaluate the score, and we can check to see if this score is above 90. If it's above 90, we actually will automatically send that answer back without doing an approval. But otherwise, we will start an approval, and we're going to go ahead, and you saw that. Like, here's the question, here's the proposed answer. And if it's approved, we'll automatically go back and send it back to the email publisher. But otherwise, if we're going to say reject, this is where we'll provide the new feedback, the new answer, and we're going to update a SharePoint knowledge KB. And the reason for doing this is we don't want to have to give everyone access to the Q&A maker service. So this also allows other people to go ahead into SharePoint and add their own questions and answers. And so we've sort of decoupled this process and created another flow that subscribes to these types of events, and will then go ahead and pull from SharePoint, and that's this flow here. We'll pull these new records from SharePoint. We'll go ahead and call the Q&A maker service to update the knowledge base, and then we can go ahead and publish the knowledge base so that the next time that question is asked, it'll automatically be answered.
And so what this means is by next Ignite, I shouldn't have to answer a single email.
So that's demo one. Now what I want to talk about is automating forms processing.
So I got to tell them the story of how this came to be. So Kent and I are trying to figure out a demo we want to do. We're like, we got two, we need to add one more thing. What's it going to be? And we're riding in an elevator. I don't even remember where. There's a random guy with us, and I was like, hey guy, what could you have in your life that if you could have it automated, what would it be? And he's like, oh, like I have apartments and I have to deal with applications like crazy. If I could somehow automate that process, it'd be great. I was like, Kent, that's it. Lease applications. And so again, Kent was like, I could do that. And here we are. And so now you're going to get to see the elevator idea, lease application processing.
Yeah, and so like a core capability or core use case inside of RPA or intelligent automation is the ability to scrape information. You really want to reduce that manual interactions of copying and pasting information. So what if you had the ability to take a PDF document and have a process that can go in and pull out specific fields that you're interested in, and then use it to update other systems? So what we've done here is we've actually have a PDF where we'll actually send it in via email. Flow will pick it up. It'll use a third-party connector called docparser, which allows us to define parsing rules where we can go out and pick out specific data elements. So for example, first name, last name, age, years at last residence, the salary. And we can use this information and pull it out to actually create contacts inside of Dynamics 365. If the contact already exists, we're going to go ahead and update it. If the contact is new, we'll go ahead and add it. Then what we'll do is we'll create an opportunity. And then the opportunity can be managed by whoever's managing that process, whether that's a line worker or a manager. Now, in addition to this, and John showed a little bit of this, is how do we actually forecast some sort of demand? Like, how do we know whether or not we've got enough properties that we can actually go ahead and rent? So we can actually see what this upcoming demand is by including a Power BI real-time streaming data set. So now we've got instant insight in terms of the quality of our candidates, plus what are they looking for? Like, is it everyone looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, or is people looking for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom? How do we quickly understand that demand? And so that's the point of this next demo, where we're actually going to solve this problem. So here is the PDF that I'm about to send in. There's a few interesting fields that we want to capture. One is the property name. In this case, it's a fictitious place called Bellevue Manor. We can see the name, Kurt. The last name is Stevens, date of birth, or email address, which would be interesting in order to understand whether or not they exist or not, where they currently reside, the company they work for, their job role, their salary, whether or not they want a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and if they have pets. So we're going to go ahead and send that in. And while that's processing, I'm quickly going to flip over to doc parser. So this is a third-party service. It is a connector that we do support, and you can actually use this to create parsing rules. So what you would do is you would upload documents, much like the one I just showed you before, and then you can go ahead and create these parsing rules. So for example, we can go ahead and look at first name. So first name was as simple as going onto the form itself and identifying the location of first name. So we would go ahead and do this to the rest of the document where we're interested in pulling out that information. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what if it's not accurate? What if it guesses wrong? Well, you can also leverage that notion of like predictability and probability. Whereas if it's not, confident that it's giving you the right answer, it's going to lower that probability, and then you can actually key off of that, include some logic to say, hey, now I'm going to go ahead and offboard this to a human process and get a human to actually get in the way because a computer or a machine wasn't able to figure it out. So let's go ahead and we'll check out our flow here. And so there's two flows. There's one flow that's going to be reading from the inbox, pulling out attachments, and uploading it to the doc parser service. And then we have another flow that's going to be listening for doc parser publish events, and that's when we're actually going to use all of this data to talk to Dynamics. So here, if we go ahead and take a look at this flow, it's very simple, much like the flow John showed before. It has two steps. When a new email arrives, we're going to go ahead and see if the subject filter is rental application. And if it is, we're going to actually go ahead and get that email. And for every attachment, we're going to go ahead and upload it to this doc parser service. So that's completed successfully. And then what will happen is we'll head over to our other flow, which is going to be pulling down these new documents from the doc parser service, and then doing all of this work with Dynamics and Power BI. So here, what we can see is it's, once again, not an overly complex flow, but we're going to get this new document. Now, this used to be a PDF, but what's happened after we've used doc parser is now we have access to all of these individual fields. So first name, property name, last name, middle name, etc.
We talked about making dynamic content, and so what he did here is all those fields that he put boxes around, all those fields now get turned into dynamic content so he can use them in the other steps.
So exactly. So for example, when we want to list records to see if this contact exists, we're going to use the email address that was passed in. So this is completely dynamic. Then what we'll see if there is a record, if it does exist, we will go ahead and we will just update that contact information. Once again, we're going to use all of this dynamic content that was ingested from the doc parser service, where we can actually go ahead and create the contact, or update the contact, provide the ID, include their last name, their city, their phone number, etc. In the event that it is a new contact, we're going to do something similarly. The difference is we're going to create the contact, not update the contact. Next, what we'll do is we will go ahead and create the opportunity, and we will link the opportunity back to that contact. So now we've got a tight relationship between the contact and the opportunity. And lastly, what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and add rows to a real-time streaming data set. So we would go ahead and define all of the different fields in the Power BI dashboard that we want to automatically update, and we'll once again use all of that dynamic content from the previous steps. Lastly, because we don't want to leave the customer hanging, did they get my application, did they not get my application, we're going to send them an email that includes their opportunity number, or basically their identifier, indicating here's your ticket. And so let's go ahead and check out Dynamics first. So if we head over to contacts, we will look for Kurt Stevens. This was the PDF that we had sent in. And we can see their phone number, where they live, and their job title. So that was created successfully. Next, what we can go ahead now do is see opportunities. And we should see there's our opportunity for Bellevue Manor. So that was something we were able to pull out of that PDF document. And we should be able to go ahead and see some additional information about what they're looking for. In this case, they're looking for a 2-bedroom. They have pets. This is their current address. So once again, that would historically be a very manual process where you're copying and pasting and doing a lot of low-value work in order to solve that business problem, when you could actually automate a lot of that and then focus on other activities that do require human strengths. Oh, let's show you Power BI as well.
Oh,
So
yeah, I want to see this dashboard.
So here's the Power BI dashboard that I built, which is going to give us some insight in terms of, what do our candidates look like? Here we can see that we've got 23 pending applications. The average income is about 90K. We can see the distribution of bedrooms, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and also bathrooms as well. So now if we're looking for forecasting, want to understand, hey, maybe we can charge more for a 2-bedroom because there's greater demand. Now we have that insight. We can also go ahead and, much like other Power BI capabilities, slice and dice and look by different property name. And we can also check out our move-in dates. So if we want to just focus on specific timeframes, we can see that on December 1st, there's 5 people that want to move in. And then as we move outwards the month, we have 1 person that wants to move in on the 13th and 1 person who wants to move in on the 15th. So now we can visualize all of this data in terms of, instead of trying to manage it on a spreadsheet, copying and pasting, and doing those type of activities. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is pretty exciting. So who here has heard of Power Query? Quite a few. That's cool. I'm a big fan of Power Query. I've used this before in previous life and also at Microsoft a fair bit. But Power Query is a data connection technology that enables you to discover, combine, and refine data sources to meet your analysis needs. So this is not a new technology. This technology is used by Power BI and by Excel. So this is something that has sort of been battle tested and is obviously used by millions of users. And really what it allows you to do is to ingest data from all of these different data sources and then perform some level of transformations or mashups. And then you can use this mashup to then actually feed other systems. So as of this week, we're announcing a preview of Power Query for Microsoft Flow. And this is available on top of the SQL connector. Now, in terms of why the SQL connector, so there's a few things that we need to take care of. One is data loss prevention policies. So DLP is there to enforce which connectors you can use within a single flow or a single Power App. And naturally, Power Query has a lot of other sort of connectors or data sources that it can talk to. Some of them aren't actually in Flow, so we don't want to create any sort of security gaps by enabling that. Once we have the opportunity to plug that into DLP, that's when we'll see more and more data sources being available. And so this was very much an opportunity for us to sort of build this foundation for Power Query and Flow, and then we can certainly have the ability to build on top of it. So this is going to leverage the Power Query Online service. So if you're using Excel or if you are using Power BI Desktop, that's using a local Power Query service. So there are going to be some differences between PQ Online and sort of the core Power Query service itself. We will do some throttling on you. We will throttle you 2 hours a day or 10 hours a week. So what that means is when you have Power Query Online, you have this service that is actually doing all of this processing for you. So if you have really long queries, you will eat into that entitlement. Certainly interested in hearing feedback if that's not enough. We'd encourage you to reach out because I'd really like to know that so we can work with the Power Query team on finding the right balance. And right now we are providing single query support. But I will show you sort of how you can get around this in order to build out sort of more comprehensive mashups. So why did we build this? Number one, we wanted a more approachable solution for filtering and shaping data. And this is really an alternative to OData. So we've had some of our users, they haven't been big fans of OData. It can be a little bit gnarly at times in terms of understanding the correct syntax. So this is a much more approachable way of filtering out data. This unlocks future Power Query integration. So I'd love to hear from you if there's other ways that you could envision using Flow with Power Query so that we can actually unlock those use cases. And really, I think the future of this, and this is why I get excited, is that today we don't really have a data mapper like you might see in some other sort of enterprise integration tools. But using Power Query actually allows us the ability to mash up different data sources. So I can envision a time, this isn't a commitment, a roadmap commitment, but I can envision a time from a vision perspective of, say, taking in flat files, taking in JSON files, and being able to mash them up with some of these other data sources like SQL in order to really feed downstream systems. Okay, so let's do a walkthrough, and then I'll show you a demo. So I'm just going to go ahead and create from blank. We'll just use a simple button flow as our trigger. Then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and type Power Query. Then what will happen is we'll actually see this action called SQL Server transform data using Power Query. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now what's going to happen here behind the scenes is I need a connection to that SQL Server. So this is part of the reason why we need to include it as part of our existing DLP policies, is because this is an existing concept for us. This will work just like any other new connection to SQL Server, where you would actually have to provide like the database name, the database server, username, password. So in this case, I already have my connection established, but I can now go ahead and click Create Query. At this point, you're now talking to the Power Query online service. And what I'm going to have the ability to do is select different tables that I can now use in my mashup. So here I'm going to go ahead and select apartments, not crypto trades, demographics, and customers. So these are all tables that are now going to be in my context. Next, I'm going to go to the next screen where I now can build my mashup. I can use these different queries and actually aggregate them or merge them together. So as I mentioned before, we'll only support you running one query at a time, but you can get around this if you have multiple tables by going ahead and combining tables and merge queries as new. So what I can do is a join. I can take my work order data, which will have a reference to a customer, and then I can enrich it with actual customer data. So I don't want to have like all of my customer name, address, or demographic info in my work order table. I can now actually go ahead and essentially join these tables. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, oh, I chose the wrong table, but for the sake of argument, I would go ahead and say choose apartments, and I could go ahead and choose customers, and then what I can do is I can go ahead and link those two using a left join, click OK, and then what will happen is now I have access to this dynamic content, and I'll actually show you more of this in an actual demo. So let's just explain that demo. So this is it here now, sort of in this same line of thinking with customer service. So we've got this person that's managing apartments, and people create work orders. The elevator's broken. The AC's not working. The gym treadmill's broken.
I feel like we got to find this apartment guy and be like, hey, dude, here's your flows.
Yeah, we should package this up. So now what we want to do is actually process those work orders. But we also want to understand, like, how happy are our customers? Like, are they about to leave? How can we get some additional insight into that? So what we can actually do is plug in another one of these Azure Cognitive Services. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and perform some sentiment analysis on top of it. So what we'll do is we're going to have a flow that will run on a schedule. And what it'll do is it'll pull out all of these outstanding work orders, check for the customer comments, run it through the sentiment analysis engine, get an indicator back from 0 to 1, indicating how happy or how dissatisfied they are. And then what we'll do is we'll publish this into Microsoft Teams as a digest. Now, it doesn't have to be Microsoft Teams. It could be email. It could be text messages, however you want to send that information outward. But we have the ability to do that through Flow and all of our different connectors. So let's go ahead and open up this flow. So here we have a schedule. Now this is set to run every day. But what I'm going to show you here soon is we can actually kick this flow off from Teams and run it whenever we want. We can naturally go ahead and change the frequency as well. Next up, I'm going to create a variable. And a variable is, in this case, is going to be an array. So you can kind of think of this as like a box. And as we find all of these customer complaints, we're going to put it into the box. And then what we can do is take this array variable at the end and actually generate some markup and create a well-formatted message for going into Teams. Now, in this case, here's Power Query. I already have a query established. I can naturally go ahead and edit this query if I want to. And this is going to bring up that experience that I showed you before. Now, here's where I brought in the correct tables this time. And I can join my customers with my apartments with my work orders. And now I basically have this aggregated query that goes across all of these different tables, joining them by the customer ID, by the apartment ID, so that I can actually use customer details and include that in my digest that goes out to Microsoft Teams. So here's where I can go ahead and include the customer ID, very simple, and then actually link that to the work order, which also is going to have a reference to that customer as well. So I don't need to update this, but I'll just X out of that. Then what I can do is I have a typed data set. And in this case, it's going to return me an array of all of the different values coming back from the Power Query service. And so that's what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and pick out different data attributes that I'm interested in that are being returned from Power Query. And I'm going to create a new node inside of my array. And I can use information from both Power Query itself around like the name of the apartment, the customer name, the customer email address, but also include the sentiment score that was returned from the sentiment analysis service. And that's this step right here. It's very simple. We go ahead and pass in the customer comments. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is check to see the score. And in this case, we're going to check to see if it's less than 40. That's our threshold. They have aspirations to become better, but we started with 40%. And if it's less than 40%, then we're going to go ahead and add that complaint, essentially, to this array. Once we're done, we're going to see if we actually have any complaints in our array itself. We will construct an HTML table. So once again, no coding required. We can take this array with all these different data attributes like the customer name, the address, and then go ahead and output this to Microsoft Teams. And I'll show you that right now. So I'm in Microsoft Teams, and because that is a scheduled flow that's going to run every day, I also have the ability to kick that off from Microsoft Teams. And this is accomplished through what we call the Flow bot or the Flow app for Microsoft Teams, which is something that you can go ahead and install. There's a few functions where we are adding more and more each semester. But the two actions are I can go ahead and list flows. So I'll just go ahead and type that command, and it's going to go through and return any flow that can be manually triggered or is on a schedule. And here we can see number 6 is the flow that we're interested in to actually go ahead and kick off. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and type run flow 6, hit enter, and it's now kicked that flow off. What we will see is if I head over to Teams, it's going to go ahead and drop that message into this specific channel. So we'll give that a second to run. Oh, and we've seen it's now completed, so it should be there. And so now what we see is these are all of the different essential work orders that have been created. So we've got the name of the apartment, we've got the customers and their comments, again, why, really, and we can see that their sentiment score is 17, which isn't great. So now this is probably something you want to follow up with them and proactively deal with that situation before they get completely fed up and decide to seek.
You got my Aunt Sally in there.
Yes, I do. So yeah, this is another way where you can gain some insight. Like there's no shortage of data that's being collected, whether it's through sensors, whether it's through customer service experiences. Now we can actually add some intelligence so we can actually proactively deal with those situations before they become burning issues.
So one thing I want to say is, you've seen a lot of scenarios here. Some of these seem pretty advanced. For the new people in the room, I want to say, don't be scared off. This looks a little deep. Kent is an expert. He's been doing it for a while. Go to the places I showed you on the Learn tab. The Getting Started, Guided Learning, Documentation. Check out the YouTube channel. Promise you pick this stuff up in no time. Looks a little bit intimidating. It really becomes quite easy once you get the concepts down.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, these are, a little bit more advanced scenarios, but I think what we really wanted to demonstrate was the art of the possible. And that flow isn't just about personal productivity. Yes, we can extract your attachments and put them in OneDrive, but we can also build some really compelling applications or solutions where you can actually take this information and return tangible value back to your business.
Gain real business value.
And
Absolutely.
we're doing this without writing any code. So there was no code that was written as part of any of these solutions. And we're really taking advantage of these out-of-the-box connectors. And certainly it also demonstrates the breadth of our ecosystem. We've got some deep integration with Microsoft first parties, as we showed you. We also have some deep integration with third parties and other partners that are basically building and innovating on top of our platform. And I think that's also important to know that this isn't just Microsoft that sees value in this. This is other people that are betting on us as well.
And I think for us, it's good for us both to get up here with you guys, because I'm more of a marketing person, and you see, I can throw a flow together that gives me insights. Kent is much more technical, and he can build flows that mean meaningful things to the whole business, right? And the beautiful thing about the tool is that each of us get to use it in a way that's meaningful for our work in our line of business. And with that, guys, we have about 5 minutes left for questions. We have microphones all around. If you have questions, please come on up and let us know. I'm going to go ahead and put the YouTube channel link here on the screen. And for those of you heading out, please remember to evaluate. And thank you, guys, and we'll welcome your questions. Thank you.
So, I have a question about security issues. I'm here, right side.
Sorry, right side?
Here, yeah.
Oh, your right side. Or sorry, where?
Right.
Here I am.
Oh,
Back
okay.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, security issues with the flow situation, and we have policies that prohibit uses for auto-forwarding emails, for example. And in this case, if you have a flow with your mailbox, it can automatically send those emails to another external email address. Is that something you're going to apply to that security and compliance site can solve this?
So for that particular situation, what happens, because our DLP policy is at a connector level,
Yeah.
that would allow you to use that forward email action, which is part of the same connector. So that doesn't get caught as part of our DLP policies. But the good news is that I wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago that talks about how you can take advantage of the Office 365 Security Compliance Center to notify you of those situations where a flow like that has been created. And when that happens, we can take advantage of approvals, like I showed you earlier, to actually go ahead and stop that flow. So that is a scenario we documented on the blog. You'll find it there. Feel free to come up and I can help you find it as well. But that's one way we're dealing with the problem right now. We do have some additional plans to do in more investments in DLP itself, and that we'd hope to address those types of situations natively inside of DLP.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, thank you so much for the great presentation. My question is about Flow and Logic apps.
Okay.
Do they compete with each other? Because they essentially do the same thing.
They do essentially do the same thing, and the easiest way that we try and differentiate the two is if you are a developer and you already are in the Azure portal regularly, then Flow is a good option. Then Logic Apps is a good option for you. If you're a business user and more in Office, Flow is the best answer for you. Now, that's not to say that you can't do both. We have many developers that use Flow quite regularly, but one specific situation that I know of that I can point to is if you want to work with SAP, you would use Logic Apps as they have an SAP connector that Flow does not. Kent, any other specific?
Well, I think the other thing worth knowing is that when you create a flow, underneath the hood, you're actually creating a Logic app. So from like a reliability perspective, a scalability perspective, you're essentially creating the same thing. What we've done is built different abstractions in order to lower the barrier of entry in order to use our platform. And as John mentioned, like we are more focused on the power user, the informational worker. So our workloads are a little bit different than theirs. Doesn't mean that you can't do the same thing in both tools in many circumstances. They light up some more advanced integration scenarios like B2B, EDI, that we will never light up. So it is really a common platform underneath the hood, and I think it becomes what is like the best tool for you based upon your persona and your access.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right here.
You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I had to step out for 1 second, so if you covered this, I apologize. I'll watch the video. Okay, going back to the gentleman's DLP question, can we make flows visible to MCAS in Microsoft?
So not today. What we do, so MCAS in the sense that's the Azure Information Protection stuff.
Yeah.
So the way it works today is Flow actually will go ahead and use public APIs. So all of our connectors are based upon public APIs. Yeah. So if the service itself is actually like behind the scenes plugged into MCAS, that will occur. But there's nothing sort of specific in Flow itself that's tying into MCAS. Like our DLP is something different than what exists in AIP or MIP, I guess.
Even if we didn't like do a DLP, if you guys could build a plugin so that we could make pass to MCAS as an event in Flow, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Because we'd be able to see it.
So my suggestion for that is, if you go to our Learn tab there's a feedback or ideas
Yeah.
section. Please put it there. And I don't say that to blow it off. We actually truly do listen to our user voice. All of our next 35 items in this semester are planned from our user voice. And so if that's something you want and can get some support around, it's absolutely something that we would then take a look at.
And the last thing I wanted to mention was just for anybody who's looking to get started with Flow, the very first Flow I created was send me a Flow alert when my boss or my boss's boss emails me.
Yeah.
So that one's awesome. Yeah. And then the second one that I created was pull all of my attachments out of my email and store them in OneDrive.
Yeah.
Which was also great because I hate looking through email for attachments. So if you're looking for two easy ones to start with, those are awesome.
Makes sense.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the showing all the demos there. It was really, really good. I had a question with license. I don't know if you can kind of help me with this.
Sure.
We're looking to move to M365 and like E3, and I didn't know would all this be available? You were mentioning about the business process flows might be something different.
Yeah, so business process flows will take a step up in licensing above Office. So Office entitlement gives you access to the platform, 2,000 runs per month per user, but it doesn't give you access to the premium features, BPF being one of those. And so if you wanted to upgrade and have users do BPF, Flow Plan 2 is an additional $15 a month per user.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
And then, yeah, related to the other demos, so the first customer service one where we're doing email, that would be all lit up through your Office 365 license. There would be a charge for the consumption of Q&A Maker, but it's not a per user charge. It's based on consumption. The doc parser one, that would require premium connector access, so that one would be an upcharge. But it's not something that has to be rolled out for everyone. It's only the people that are actually creating those connections to the service. And then let's see, the last one with Power Query and Power BI, another one would be lit up through your Office 365 subscription. Naturally, the sentiment analysis, there's going to be a consumption-based charge, but no sort of additional SKUs required to run that beyond your Office entitlement.
Also, if you want to try it before you buy it, you can go to the Power App site and request a trial. You get a P2 trial with everything in it for 90 days.
Okay. And you said it was about 15 per person?
For the Flow Plan 2, 15 per person per month, yes.
For the BPF, if you just want the
BPF.
premium connectors, there's something called Plan 1, which is about $5 a user per month.
Down the end over there?
Are there any plans for, say, an enterprise template store? So you could make it very easy to build templates and then share those back with the users. I know you can export them, but when you re-import them, the connectors come over with the name.
Yes. Organizational template galleries are currently in the works.
Yeah, so we announced in Steven's blog, our GPM, earlier this week, he has a blog post that talks about solutions, and we see solutions as this vehicle to enable that use case. And what a solution is, it's the ability to package up Power Apps and flows and to be able to deploy them as a single unit across different environments. Based upon that, there is a pattern that we will implement. It's not part of the first release, where you can take Flow as basically the template itself and then allow other people within your organization to implement new instances of that. So that's how we're going to solve that problem. It is a multi-step journey, but the first step of that journey lights up here within the next month or so, as he calls out in the blog. So yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right. So thanks for blowing my mind into smithereens.
You're welcome.
All right. Because I'm seeing amazing potential here. I'm not just IT, I'm actually all over the business. But my question is about on-prem, because a lot of our stuff is on-prem, and I know there's a gateway to the on-prem. So can we use triggers with the on-prem gateways, or what are the limitations that we have with the gateway?
Yeah, so on-prem, you'll have the access to do SharePoint on-prem, SQL on-prem, file server,
Oracle. Did you say SharePoint?
And what's that?
SharePoint, did you say SharePoint?
Yep, and so with those, there are some triggers. You might see some differences between those and the online versions, but there's definitely some triggering options there.
All right, cool.
You're welcome. Down the end?
Hi, thanks very much, guys. Triggering flows from PowerShell or from a Graph API event, or having those triggered by a flow, is that possible, or is that best done with Logic Apps?
Sorry, the question was, can you trigger a flow from PowerShell?
Or a Graph API event, or can you call either of those from a flow, or is that best done with Logic Apps?
No, so certainly we expose flows, like especially the scenario where I have that worker flow and those other flows that call it. That's exposing an HTTP endpoint. So you would be able to call that from PowerShell in order to do that. We also do support this notion of webhooks. So if like Graph API allows you to create a webhook subscription, you can also listen to those events. Like the gentleman who was asking the question around security, that's exactly what I've done is I go into the Office 365 API and say, I want to create a webhook subscription, and whenever those events that like basically fire, can actually kick off a flow. So if Graph works similarly, we have the ability to do that, and we certainly have the ability to reach into Graph as well.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to give the stage up. If you want to connect with us, we'll be down front.
So we'll